I've worked out that you could be losing up to £292,000 a year by not having a lifetime ISA, and in this video I'm going to tell you why. So I've heard about lifetime ISAs for quite a while, and I've always thought they were quite a poor savings option. But doing some further research, I've realised they could give you some free money that seems silly to miss out on. In this video, I'm going to dive into what a lifetime ISA is and why I think you need one, the different types of lifetime ISA, and I'm going to give you the exact strategy to claim your free cash. So I'm basically going to do all the hard work for you. There's going to be lots of facts and figures, and I'm going to try and get this exactly to the point and not waffle on, so hopefully it'll be nice and easy to understand and you guys will get massive value from it. Personally, I'm going to open a lifetime ISA later this week, so if you are interested, I'm going to go over the best accounts and show you who I'm going with. So make sure you subscribe and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and that video will be coming later this week. So with that being said, let's dive right in and discuss what is a lifetime ISA. A lifetime ISA is basically a tax-free savings account for people aged 18 to 39, introduced by the government to help people save money for either their first home or retirement. Now, the government created this for a couple of reasons. One, house prices are becoming so expensive, people are really struggling to buy their first home. And also, because of that fact, people aren't saving as much for retirement, or retirement is really the last thing on people's minds when they're young and they're not really bothered about it. Let's face it, it's far away in the future and it's not what's on people's minds. Which is a shame, because this strategy could literally make them a millionaire by the time they were 60. Also, people in general just suck at saving these days. They'd rather spend the money on the latest car, designer clothes, or the latest fancy coffee from Starbucks. So lucky for us, we're great at saving and we can take advantage of this scheme, but in a good way. So each year you can save £4,000 within this lifetime ISA, and the government will give you £1 for every £4 you put in. So essentially you're getting £1,000 for free every year. The bonus is paid monthly, so you can gain interest on that bonus every month. That's an instant gain on your money each year without doing any work. But it's important to remember this does count towards your £20,000 ISA limit. So for example with me, I'm going to put £4,000 in this each year, and I'm going to still put £16,000 in a regular stocks and shares ISA. If you want to put this towards a property, it has to be under £450,000 and you have to be a first-time buyer. If you don't meet those criteria, it's not for you if you're looking to buy a property. If you're looking at using this as a retirement option, which is what I'm going to be focusing on today, you can't take that money out until you're 60, so if you're looking to do that, this might not be the option for you. Now, what's important to recognise, if you do want to take the money out early or you don't use it towards a house, there is a 25% penalty. So for example, if you paid in £8,000 over 2 years, you'd have the £2,000 bonus from the government, but if you were to withdraw it before you turn 60 or not for a house, you would only get back £7,500, which isn't a massive loss. But personally, I think the penalty is a good thing. People need to save and hold long term, and this encourages people to do that because they're penalised if they take money out. Otherwise, people would just take the money and spend it on something they didn't need, so it encourages them to keep it for retirement or something important like buying a house. And of course, holding long term is what it's all about, and that's when you make really good gains on your investments. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be focusing on the aspects of retirement and building up a big portfolio for when you retire. I'll do a video later on houses, on how I would use a lifetime ISA for a house, and other tips on how to buy a property. But for this video, we're focusing on building up that big amount. Before we dive in, as always, this isn't financial advice, this is just my personal opinion. You can choose to follow it or not, it's completely up to you. So now, let me mention to you what I missed, and this is the types of lifetime ISA. So I thought if you opened a lifetime ISA, you would open a regular account, you would get a low interest rate, and that's all you would have. I didn't realise you could open a stocks and shares lifetime ISA, so you can buy investments within your lifetime ISA, which is really the option where you make a lot more money. Now let's look at the two options and I'll show you the big difference in results. First, let's look at cash ISAs. So let's take a look at one of the leading providers, Moneybox. Now, Moneybox offer a 0.85% interest rate on your investments, which drops to 0.5% after the first year. So they're basically giving you a bonus for signing up for a year. Now, what's also important to note is, which I'm sure people are going to mention, is that obviously the rate can go up over time, and I would expect it to go up as inflation rises and as time goes on. So these figures are based on the interest rate today. So for the purpose of this illustration, I'm going to take myself as an example. I'm 31 and I plan to add £4,000 a year into the maximum contributions for the lifetime ISA. And I'm going to pay that in for 19 years until I hit 50. And then I'm going to cash out at 60 when I can take it all out tax free. So let's take a look at the numbers. I would pay in £76,000 over my time having the ISA. The government would contribute £19,000 on top of that. And the interest would be £8,502, bringing my grand total to £108,502 by the time I'm 50. Now, from age 50, you can't contribute more to the ISA, so they cut you off from doing that. So that £108,502 would stand alone, but still gain interest for 10 years, So it would still gain interest and still add up, and it would eventually come in at £118,085 by the time you were 60. So then you've got that amount and you can withdraw it tax-free. So essentially, I'd be contributing £76,000 and getting £118,000 in return over a period of 29 years. That's a profit of roughly £42,000. So as you can see, even by utilising a cash ISA, you can get good returns. Now this is where it gets really interesting, so let's take a look at a stocks and shares ISA in comparison. Now let's take the same figures we've just used and put them through a stocks and shares ISA and take a look at the figures in comparison. Before I get started, it's important to note, because I'm sure this will get pointed out, I'm not taking into account the fees for managing your account, but I don't think they're really worth mentioning. So for example, with Hargreaves Lansdown, you're paying 0.45%, but it's capped at £45 for the year. So there are fees, and I'll go over those more in the next video, but they're not too important for the purpose of this illustration. So again, I'm aged 31 and I plan to pay £4,000 into the stocks and share ISA every year and receive the government bonus of £1,000. But this time, I'm going to invest in shares in a low-risk FTSE tracker, which averages 7.75% per year. Of course, you can do your own stocks, but this is a really low-risk option. The FTSE 100, looking at any chart, has gone up over time. Now again, I pay £76,000 into the account. The government would contribute £19,000, but this time the interest would be £122,571, bringing my grand total to £222,571 by the time I'm 50. Now again, from the age of 50, I can't keep contributing to the ISA, so that £222,000 would stand alone, but still gain the interest for the next 10 years, putting it at a whopping £469,506 by the time you were 60. And then you've got that amount to withdraw tax-free as you see fit, or you could keep it in there making more interest and take a small amount out each year. Obviously, if you were making 7.75% on $469,000, that's quite a nice tax-free sum as a yearly income. Or you could switch it to companies that gain dividends, but more on that later. But you are building up that really great tax-free sum. So comparing the two, using my figures, if I put £4,000 a year into a cash lifetime ISA, I would make £42,085. And if I put the same into a stocks and shares lifetime ISA, I would make £393,506, because of course we do need to deduct that £76,000 contribution. But the really interesting thing to do here is, from working out them sums, we can see how much we're essentially getting as free money. Now I call this free money, but of course you are, spending money, tying money up, and you're leaving it there. So I call it free, but whether you call it free might be a different question. So with a stocks and shares ISA, we've got the total sum of £469,506. Now we need to deduct my initial investment of £76,000 and the government investment of £19,000, which leaves us with £374,000. Now we're going to divide that by 5 because that's the share the government are contributing. They're contributing £1,000 and we're doing £4,000. So when you work that out, your free interest off the money is £74,800 plus the government contribution of £19,000. So I would essentially be getting £93,800 for free. Now when we compare that to a cash ISA, let's take a look at those figures. So you have again the total sum of £118,085. Then again we deduct my initial investment of £76,000 and the government's investment of £19,000. That leaves us with £23,085. Again, we're going to divide it by 5. So the free interest is £4,617. Now we're going to add back in the free government money that you're essentially getting by signing up for this scheme. So with this option, you're essentially getting £23,670 for free. But of course, with this option, the majority of the money is the free government money. Now when you look at this as a free money option, the difference between a cash ISA and a stocks and share ISA doesn't look so great. Well, it's still £70,000, which is an awful lot of money. It's really the difference in the total sum you should be looking at. So on one hand, you're going to end up with £118,000. On the other option, you're going to end up with £469,000. Now, I know which one I'd rather end up with. Now, obviously, the younger you are, the more you're going to make. That's just how compound interest works. The earlier you start this, the more you're going to end up with. And this is why it's really important to get more young people interested in investing at an early age. We're not taught this in schools, and it would be really good for people to know. So please share this with any young people you think need to start investing. So let's take a look at the same figures, but if we were an 18-year-old and we started today. So the total sum you would end up with if you were 18 years old is 1.46 million, which sounds insane. Of course, you would have a bigger initial investment over time, still the £4,000 a year, but it would add up to 128,000, so we deduct that. We then deduct the 32,000 the government's going to get you over the 32 years. That leaves you with 1.3 million. Again, we're going to divide it by 5, so the free interest on that is 260,000. We then add back in the free government money, which is £32,000 in this case, so you're essentially getting £292,000 for free if you start when you're 18 years old. Now all I need is a time machine. So you can work out how much you would get for free by using the equation we just mentioned, but for your total sum, I'll go over these now because I've done the hard work and worked it all out for you. So what I'm going to do for you guys now, which I think is going to be super valuable, is I'm going to break down how much you would end up with if you'd use the same figures as me, investing £4,000 and getting your £1,000 free at every age available in the 18 to 39 bracket. Before I do that, I'm going to leave a link down below to join a Discord where I'll put this spreadsheet for free if you want to work it out yourself. And if you don't have Discord, there's also a Facebook group you can join and it'll be in there. So these figures are based on 7.75% interest rate, the FTSE 100 as I mentioned before, and adding £4,000 a year to your balance. So when we look at the table here, you can see on the left, I've got the age. So this is the age that you are now. So look down the list and find your age. The next column is how many years you need to contribute for. So for example, if I'm 18 years old, I need to contribute for 32 years to get to 60. And then you'll see overall you will have deposited £128,000. And then you can see the amount after 50 years and what you would get to. Now this is a point where you stop paying into the account. And then you can see after 10 years at 60, that is a total amount you will end up with. So for me, at 31, I can see that I'm going to get £468,000 back at 60. So this table I think is really interesting and super useful to look at, and it really shows you the earlier you start, the better. And that's just how compound interest works. So like I said, at 18, you would get 1.46 million. But for example, if you started this at 39, you would only get 196 in comparison. It's just because you don't have as much time to contribute and for the interest to grow. Hopefully this table's on the screen long enough for you guys. If it's not, just pause the video so you can have a proper look. Now in order to get the 7.75%, there's going to be particular funds that you're going to want to aim for. I'm going to go over those in a later video where I'm going to break down the top funds and which ones I think you should go for, as well as show you the ones I'm going to be buying personally. So what I will show you guys is how to use the spreadsheet that I mentioned that I've got in the Facebook group and the Discord. If you want to work out these figures, you might want to use a different interest rate, or you might want to contribute a different amount. Of course, you don't have to contribute the £4,000, you can contribute £1,000 and they will match you in the same sort of way. I just wanted to quickly show you guys the download they've left in the Discord, exactly how to use it. Just saves you guys the hassle of working it all out. So I can't take credit for making this, I've downloaded it from this Vertex 42 and it seems pretty cool. You don't need all of the information on here, but this is what you need to know. So you need to put in your principal amount, which is in here. So that, in this case, is going to be the 4,000 plus the 1,000 free from the government, which is £5,000. If you wanted to change that, it could be less. For this example, I'm just going to leave £5,000. Now the interest rate, what I entered is a 7.75, but you could be more conservative and go for something like 5%, or more ambitious and go for something like 10%, depends what return you think you're going to get. So let's try 5% just for an example. Now you need to enter the amount of years. To work out the years, you can either use the diagram that I showed, or you can simply work it out. It's simply the 50 years you're allowed to pay in for minus your age. So for example, if you started this at age 30, you've got 20 years of contributions. So we'll enter that in there. The start date, I haven't worried about too much. You could enter a date if you wanted it to show the accurate dates, but I've ignored that. I've set the compound frequency to annual. The payment is the additional £5,000 you're going to put in each year. And the payment frequency is also annual, so you can just leave them as this. It might not be set to this when you get the spreadsheet, so just make sure you change the drop down to annual. So on the right you can see your total payments, you can see the interest, and you can see the total amount you're going to end up with. If you scroll down, you can see a complete breakdown of payments if you really wanted to say year by year. But I'm just using these top line figures to kind of give me an illustrative amount of what I'm aiming for. You can then take these figures, or just use the figures I've already worked out to work out how much free money you're going to get from the government for doing this. So now I've shown you guys all the potential figures and how much you could earn from a lifetime ISA. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think a lifetime ISA is worth bothering with? For me, it never crossed my radar until I did these sums. Now I've realised I could literally be making nearly £94,000 a year by opening a lifetime ISA. But the key comes down to, is it worth locking away your money? And it all depends on your financial situation and if you're willing to lock money away. For me, if I'm depositing £20,000 a year, £4,000 of that, 20%, isn't going to break the bank. The plan with my money anyway is to retire early. But the question is, what age do I want to retire? Do I want to retire at 60, or am I going to look to retire before that? But even if I want to retire before that, locking some of my money away till 60 isn't really a big deal. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think this is a valid option and would you go for it? And as I mentioned, I'll go over the best accounts later this week. So once again, thank you guys for watching and all your support, and I'll see you in the next video.